there's a way for you to use branding to show up as the next version of yourself, or as I like to say, brand your higher self, right? And we've seen this with our clients. We've seen it with me and my brand and my business. And when you brand yourself as the business that you want to build, as that 7-figure business, 6-figure business, whatever it is, and you show up with that big brand energy, your confidence catches up to that, right?
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. All right, Be It Babe. This is a fun conversation today. We've got confidence. We've got branding. When do you start a business? What are you expecting out of it? It was a really fun conversation with Nadine Hanafi is our guest today. And you know, what's so crazy is like the world, just make sure you meet the right people in your life. First of all, I would love to keep talking with this. I wish we lived closer. I would love to hang out with her. Just one of those people in business. You're like, yeah, I'm so glad I know this person. She is a mutual friend of Jessica Papanow's and mine. But then also when I was talking to her, I was like, oh my God, I've got to introduce you to my photographer, Monica Linda of Girl Squad Media. And she's like, oh, I worked with Monica. And funny enough, Monica showed her my photo. So like, it's just full circle. It's like, we were destined to meet, we're destined to know each other. And so I'm excited for you to this conversation because there's a lot of honesty about like, you know, how we grow our businesses and what do we need to do to keep growing them? And what does that look like? And if you're not someone who has a business, there's still a lot of fun things to listen to in this podcast that can give you a lot of things to think about. Just because it's a little on the business side doesn't mean there's not some personal growth stuff in here that's going to change your life. I know it. So take a listen. And here is Nadine Hanafi. All right, Be It Babe. I am so excited because we're going to learn a lot from today's guest. And you're going to love all of it. I was introduced to this woman by Jessica Papanow, who you all loved. We had her on the pod. If you're an OPC member, we had her in the community. And Nadine Hanafi is our guest today. She is an incredible branding strategist for your business. And if you don't have a business, do not stop. You are a brand yourself. And I'm so excited to dive into this. Nadine, can you tell everyone who you are and what you rock at?
Oh, well, thank you, Lesley. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So my name is Nadine Hanafi. I'm a branding expert. I'm the CEO of a company called Digital Brand Kit, which is the world's first full stack branding company where we basically provide you with all the brand assets that you need as a personal brand. And I've been in business for 10 years. This is not my first business. This is my second business. I started out as a presentation design expert with a company called We Are Visual. And my jam was PowerPoint. I know, boring. But I used to make what I call these artistic, beautiful PowerPoints. And I've worked with TED speakers. I've worked with best-selling authors. I've worked with all these beautiful brands with their presentation. And eventually I decided to expand beyond just the presentation to really how you present yourself in the world, which is your branding. And so that's what brought me to doing what I do now.
Oh my God. That is so, I've gone this entire life without making a single
PowerPoint.
Yeah. Wouldn't even know how to use one.
Look at you.
I know.
How did you do that?
I tell people to take notes. Here we go.
Yeah.
I actually would love to change that for myself, and I'd love to be more prepared in advance for things. So that will change in my future. I feel it. But also, I teach Pilates, so there's no PowerPoint.
Yeah. No, I get that. I totally get that.
But, thank you for sharing that this is your second rodeo in your own business, and also going into, so let's talk about, just in case people have never heard of personal brand or branding itself. I think a lot of people think branding is colors, my logo, my fonts. Can you dive a little bit of personal brand and a little bit more on what is branding?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Love this question. So first of all, your branding is definitely not just your colors and your fonts and your website. It is so much more than that. There's a lot of debate about what branding is exactly, but to me, it's your brand messaging, it's your brand voice, it's your visuals, it's how you show up in the world, what you sound like, and the energy that you give off. And so we're all about brand energetics, right? which might be something that resonates with your audience because, it's like, it's all about energy. Branding is energy. And so that's one thing about branding. And then personal brand. What is a personal brand? Well, personal brand versus corporate brand, right? The corporate brand is just a company, it's impersonal. There are lots of humans behind it, but there isn't one human, right, behind it. A personal brand is you. So you might have a personal brand that then feeds leads to your business separately, but you are you. Like you're your own personality. You show up with a completely different visual identity, a different brand voice from the corporation that maybe you own or work for. So that's the difference between a corporate brand and a personal brand. And then in terms of visuals, super different, right? Corporations, they have these logos and brand guidelines. It's very strict. Whereas your personal brand is where you get to have a little bit more fun, right? You can color outside the lines. So
yeah, that's true. I love that color outside the lines. My perfectionist listening, hi, you can color outside the lines.
Yes, way outside.
So but how did you get into all of this stuff? Like, were you a creative kid? Are you like artistic? You love computers? Like, how did this all come about? Because you're really great at what you do. I've seen it.
Thank
I
you.
know, like, and we also have so many mutual friends who all, like Monica Linda and things like that. We all just attract. You're so awesome at it. But what led you to do this? Because I feel there's got to be like, were you born? Like, is someone in your family a digital brander?
No, not at all. I totally fell into this by accident. I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. I didn't discover my quote unquote creative side until much later in life. I think I was always a creative kid, but then I think school kind of has a tendency to beat that out of us. It's like, and especially parents are like, oh, you have to be good at math and you have to do business or be a lawyer and so I had one of those parents that wanted me to be a lawyer or a businesswoman. And so I went to business school and I really disconnected from my creativity very early on and rediscovered it while I was in college, totally by accident, because we had a professor ask us to make a PowerPoint presentation for a class, so the marketing class. And I don't know why, but I decided I was going to make the best damn PowerPoint presentation ever made. And I did. And it was just beautiful. Really, I spent like 3 weeks working on it. It was really awesome. And I enjoyed the process so much. And I enjoyed the feedback that I got so much, that it was unique and different and original. And so I just kind of kept playing in that sandbox of making nice, fun PowerPoints just for fun in school. And then when I started my first job out of college, I was asked to make a lot of presentations again. And so I brought those skills to the corporate world and it made a huge difference in the company I worked for. They really enjoyed the work that I did. It was shared across the company. They had me do PowerPoint presentations for other departments. Next thing I know, I'm creating all these templates for everyone. So it just kind of took on a life of its own. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of good at this thing. Why don't I make a business out of it? Because I wasn't really enjoying corporate life anyways. I don't love being told what to do and when to do it. So corporate, the corporate world wasn't really good for me. And so I just started a business as a PowerPoint presentation expert. And that's how I got into it. And I'm basically self-taught. So I took classes online. I took certifications, got certified in digital psychology and all the things. And basically taught myself branding, taught myself design. And that's how I landed here.
That is so cool. Cause I know for myself, I went to college first I went to be in kinesiology and then I switched to communications. And then I got out of, so it's business communications, interpersonal communication. And I got out of college and I just really loved retail. I just thought it was the greatest thing. And then I was like, I don't know why I have this $80,000 degree that I'm not using, but I got these student loans to pay off. That's awesome.
Oh, no.
And so when I got into Pilates and supposed to be a Pilates instructor, I was like, oh my God, like I already am not using, now I have to spend more money. But it's interesting how like your skill sets of what you love, they follow you wherever you're going. And I think it's cool that you're self-taught / you also kind of did some things that were in alignment with what you loved. So you're taking your natural instincts with, some of the information that's out there and combining those efforts. That's really cool. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about you though. You obviously working for yourself and leaving corporate. There's a lot of be it till you see it stories in there, because I know a lot of people listening are like, someday want to leave corporate. One day they will, do it. What were there any like
Yes.
be it till you see it stories or actions you took to help yourself either get out of corporate or like recently in your life that you can share with us?
Oh my gosh. First of all, I have to say that I've been in business for 10 years, but I feel like I've only started really breaking the surface of what I'm capable of in the last maybe 2 years.
Mm.
And I had a lot of stigma around that. I mean, I gave myself a hard time for that I was like such a late bloomer, such a late learner. Why did it take me so long to finally get
Oh my
this
God.
right?
Let's
You
just
know?
don't forget what you're about to say, but can we just take a
Yeah.
moment? Like, I'm so hard on myself about like, I should be further. I've been doing all the things. And it's
Yes.
like the pressure that we put on ourselves is not fun and it's not helping anyone get anywhere.
No, no, especially not ourselves. And it's, I'm like, oh, you're 37. Look at all these young women who's 30, 29, 30. They've already built their multi-seven figure business. Like, what's wrong with you? And so the minute that I stopped giving myself hell for that, things kind of opened up for me. But it was mostly just accepting that that's my journey and I can choose my path and I can just write my own story. And it doesn't have to be a story of like early success. And I read a quote the other day, and I might mention a lot of quotes in this episode,
We love
just
quotes.
saying, love quotes. But it said, your first business is not where you make money, it's where you learn. And it's
Mm,
so true for me in my first business because I made all the mistakes in my first business. And I will come around to like answering your question, Leslie, I
yeah.
promise.
Yeah. It's all right.
But one of the mistakes that I made was building a golden cage for myself. And I want to share the story, especially if a lot of your listeners are maybe in corporate, thinking about getting out of corporate, like you said. My only model for what a business would look like was based on what I'd seen in the corporate world. I didn't know it was possible to build a business on my own terms, a business around my lifestyle, a business around what I want to do with my time. And so I built another 9 to 5 job for myself when I created my first
Or
business.
9 to 9, something like that.
Or yeah, exactly. And I unwillingly traded one boss who was a nasty boss into like 12 bosses because every single one of my clients was my boss. And
Mm,
because I did not know how to set boundaries, I was just being bossed around by my own clients. And
mhm,
so my first business was really a playground for me to make all the mistakes and learn from them. And so this second business that I'm building is me going back and taking all the things I did wrong the first time and doing them right this time
mhm.
around. But the be it examples, my gosh, I mean, the biggest thing that I did when I was starting my first business was give myself mentors to see examples of what my future success could look like because I didn't have those good examples around me. I had to expand my horizons and meeting people, other entrepreneurs who were further ahead than me, and just seeing how they run their business. Like, what does the behind the scenes of their business look like? That was me, my effort of trying to project what my future could look like and how I could design a business for myself on my terms.
Mm. I love it all. Okay, let's just talk about
That
like
was a
we
lot.
create it's in business and in relationships, we create, date what we know,
Exactly.
and it can be, which just makes it hard to be it till you see it. Cause if you don't look outward, which I love that you talked about mentors. Like if you don't like the situation you're in before you start something, one, be it till you see it can actually just be like seeking out examples of
Yes.
what you don't, because otherwise, yeah. And then it's so funny that you mentioned boundaries. I just posted for my Prof Replies account today. Like if you have policies, but you don't enforce them, you don't have policies. What you
It's true.
have is future resentment. Like,
Yes.
like I have clients who tell me, charge me if they're late canceling because I told them I'm going to charge you. You late
Yeah.
cancel, I'm charging you. And now they're just like,
Yeah.
charge me. But like, people aren't going to be
Yeah.
like, hey, you didn't charge me for that late cancel last week. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
right. Guess
so
what? They're not going to enforce your boundaries for you.
no, they're not. And you had mentioned your 12 clients. It's true. Like if you don't tell them, here's when I respond to you, here's how, the
Mm.
appropriate way to communicate with me. Here's when your money is due. They're going to
Mm.
just push you around because they can. It just makes everything unclear. So that is really, I just love that happened on the same day that I literally said, I'm like, if you don't have like policies are boundaries to me, they're the exact same thing. They're like telling people
Yeah.
how you can treat someone. I think the first business is where you learn. It's, it's really hard because of social media, like young kids on YouTube, young kids can make millions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
with their social media. And it's hard I'm 41, to look at that and go, oh my God, I didn't even
Yeah.
like, that wasn't even an opportunity for me. And
Yeah.
also like,
Yeah.
good for them because they are living they don't have bills. They're living at their parents'
Yeah.
house. They can do whatever they want. Like the rest of us do. We have to be kinder to ourselves because we're exactly where we're supposed to be if we learn the lessons we're supposed to learn. And then
Yeah.
also we get to do what we want with that. They might be stuck with whatever they just created $7 million with of subscriber. You know what I mean? Like they can
That's right. And if I may share one more thing,
I would love it.
On that topic, I guess the biggest lesson for me, and I was telling you how I've been in business for 10 years, but I've only started truly growing my business in the last 2 years. And that's because 2 years ago, I had an epiphany, which is that my business growth plateaued at the level of my personal growth. And I, for years, would take all the courses, read all the books, learn from all the gurus about the tactics and strategies of what to do. And I had it all right. And I was doing all the right things, or I thought I was. But what I was missing was belief in myself, confidence in my ability to actually create results with those strategies and tactics. It wasn't until I prioritized my personal growth that I actually started seeing real growth in my business, financial growth in my business. And so that mindset shift unlocked a lot of things for me. So I just wanted to share that because it just was one of my biggest aha moments.
Everyone hit rewind and re-listen to that because it's like we're on the same parallel universe right now. Or earlier this week, I've told my agency members this before. I've told them this actually the last couple of times we've been in a group session together. And I just reminded them, I'm like, if you don't believe in you, no strategy I give you is going to work. Like this strategy I'm giving you might not be the right strategy for you, but you're definitely going to think it's crap if you don't believe in you. And I said to them also, like, if you're not protecting, because they're Pilates instructors who are teaching, right? If you're not protecting your Pilates practice, no strategy I give you is going to work because you're not prioritizing yourself and you will run out of energy. And when we run out of energy, what do? We don't actually have the ability to believe in ourselves more than we did.
Yeah.
You're out of energy. And so like, it is so your personal growth, protecting your self-care, taking care of like, what do I need today? How is my body doing today? Those things are going to affect tremendously at your growth of your business for sure. For sure.
1,000%.
Yeah. It's so interesting because being in a business as long as we've been in and having some of the success we've had, I've been on some stages with some people who have even bigger success. And I was listening to things that they're saying and it was so funny because some of my listeners have heard the story already, but I was on stage with two guys who have businesses way bigger than mine. We're we almost hit $1 million. This guy runs $100 million of ads across social media platforms. And this other guy worked for like fifth hire for Rent the Runway. And they're all huge, huge. So it's like small, medium, large. And I was like kind of intimidated, right? Like, why am I on the stage with these people? But then they were saying things that I was like, yeah, that works. And that's not also good. And so it's really interesting. We can put these people on a pedestal who are further along than us. We forget we know things. And like, our intuition knows things and our values know things. And so if you aren't taking care of your personal growth and you're not spending time with yourself, it can be so easy to fall into the trap of these other people, what they were saying. And I really disagree with that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Just straight up. Yeah, you have to be able to tune into your own thoughts and your own intuition and operate from a place of like conviction because you know what's right rather than just listening to what everyone else is telling you because they're telling you it's good advice.
Yeah.
You have to, be able to have that discernment to recognize, well, what's right for you at this stage.
Yeah.
For what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Discernment is very different than like a negative self-talk or self-doubt or a lack of confidence. Like discernment is, you're actually more firmly planted. Has it been easy? Like, do you find was confidence easy for you? Like,
no, absolutely not. So as somebody who was heavily bullied as a child, Confidence has been my life's battle. I was born in Minnesota, but I grew up in Morocco. My parents are from Morocco, and I learned English at a very young age, but then they moved me back to Morocco and put me in school right away before I had a chance to remember Arabic and French, because that's what we speak in Morocco, right?
Arabic and French, you have to do two.
Yes, too. So I grew up trilingual. I speak
That is
5
so
languages
cool,
now.
by the way. But
Thank you.
yeah, I
Thanks.
get, so I learned enough Arabic to say hello, thank you. No, I cannot give you
Oh,
that
nice.
discount. And
Those are all the words you need.
yeah. And so the wives would shop and then like the husband would come in and ask for a discount. And I would say, all I know how to say is shukran.
I love that. So funny.
But you have to do both. Okay, sorry, I cut you off. Anyways, but yes, that's so hard as a child to remember
Mhm.
all three. Yeah.
Yeah. So I learned Arabic and French at like 3 years old and then 4 years old. And they moved me back to Minnesota. I learned English there. And then they moved me back to Morocco and put me in school. And I'd forgotten English and Arabic. Or sorry, French and Arabic. And I only knew how to speak English, but nobody else did. And
Mm.
so right out of the gate in school, I was the American kid, don't talk to her, she doesn't speak our language. And that
Mm.
just followed me through elementary school. And I was just like the odd kid. And so I would just hang out by myself a lot. And my social skills obviously suffered from that as a child and then as a teenager. And I didn't really grow into my own self until my 20s. And this fear, this sense of being inadequate, not belonging, kind of followed me. It's just, and I'm sharing this with you because I didn't come to this realization until a couple of years ago, where I was
Mhm.
like, damn, this has actually been following me my entire life and it's been stunting my growth. Is this feeling of not being good enough, not being loved? And so, yes, confidence has been like my biggest battle in life, is having that confidence. So, the name of your podcast speaks to me a lot because I basically have had to fake it. I've had to fake this
Mm.
confidence for so many years until finally it just started feeling real. And basically, it was my experience, the expertise that I built, the amount of clients that I served, the result that I was able to get for them. All of that is what started to fill the gap between how I was showing up and that quote unquote fake confidence and the real me. And today I'm confident because I know the results I can deliver. I know my history. I know my expertise. I know my stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where my confidence comes from. And I also know my worth. I
Yeah.
know my worth now better than I ever have in my entire life. Not just my worth as a business owner and as an expert in my field,
Mhm.
but also just as a human being. I've come to terms with the fact that I am enough. Even if I was crap at business, I would still
Mhm.
be enough. And that's huge.
I love, yeah. Confidence really does come from doing the thing you said you were going to do,
Yeah.
And so like
Keeping promises to yourself.
yeah. And just keeping them. And it doesn't mean you do it perfectly, but just like you told the client you were going to develop this amazing product. You did deliver an amazing product. And then you acknowledge you delivered an amazing product. And so often
Yeah.
we do the first two things and then we don't give ourselves the credit for having done the thing. And so we
Yeah.
don't get the benefits of the confidence that it comes from being so
Yeah.
consistent with what we
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other aspect of confidence that I struggled with, and I know so many people do, is visibility.
Mm.
And so visibility has been a huge thing for me. I was always really comfortable in the behind the scenes of my business, not
Mhm.
being the face. I'm like,
Mhm.
I like putting my clients in the spotlight, in the limelight. Like, you go out there, you shine. I'll just sit here and support you. That was comfortable for me. But again, I realized that my business growth was going to plateau at the level of my visibility too, because
Mm.
visibility is also exposure, it's growth, it's putting yourself out there and getting your message out there. So more eyes on what you do. And so that's been the latest monster that I'm slaying
Yeah.
is the fear of visibility for me. In fact, I just recorded my first podcast episode today because I'm launching a podcast.
That's so cool. You
Thank
guys
you.
heard it here first. That is
I
so
know.
cool.
It's called Brand Party, and it's been sitting in my head and in my heart for over a year. And I've been so scared of starting it, of doing it, because I've been scared of the visibility that will come with it.
Mhm.
Also the commitment of like consistent content every week,
Yeah.
but mostly the visibility. And so it's a really huge deal for me that I was finally able to overcome that fear and pull the trigger and do this.
Yeah. Be surprised. Hire someone to do all the editing and all the stuff, and then whether you do it or not, you're paying them, and that makes
Yeah.
me get my ish done.
Well, you know what? That's actually, it's so true, Leslie. I'm so glad you said that because I procrastinated for a year until I met this woman who owns a production company. And she's like, oh, well, let's do this. And she sent me the contracts. The contract sat in my inbox for 3 months. And she finally sent me an ultimatum saying, all right, if you don't sign this, I'm going to have to like take down your contract from our system. And I said to myself, I didn't write this to her, but I said, thank you. Thank you for sending me that email because I
Mhm.
needed somebody to light a fire under my butt in that moment and just
Yeah.
sign the damn thing. And the thing is when I signed it, also had to pay. And now I have skin in the game.
Yep.
And yeah, like you said, the minute you have skin in the game and you actually have to put out money for this, you better make that thing happen. So
It's
that's one way to hold yourself
and
accountable.
also, like, I am not someone who typically needs an accountability person, but
Yeah,
especially if there's a little bit of fear, especially putting something out there that is a part of you. Yes, visibility, but also like the feedback that you didn't ask for from the people
I
who are,
know.
like
Oh,
you can tell yourself a story of like what it could be and it's never as bad or as good as you think it's going to be. But there's
mhm,
that fear until you put it out there. Like when we started a YouTube channel, I resisted it big time. I'm not
mhm.
going to do a YouTube channel. This is back in like 2014. My husband's like, you should do a YouTube channel. I'm like, no, there's other people who are better teachers than me. They should be doing it. They've been teaching longer. I was just
Yeah,
downplaying
all the
myself, all the
excuses.
excuses. And really what it came down to is I was so afraid of what people were going to say about the videos. They're going to say I was teaching it wrong or doing it wrong. And so we put it out there. And you know what happened? Nothing. Because just because like
Plot twist.
yeah, like, I mean, people watched it, but especially when you're a new YouTube or a new podcast, like now if you have a following and a platform to
Yeah,
tell people about it, but back then I had nothing. Instagram wasn't even a
yeah.
thing, guys. Like I didn't have anything to share what I was doing on. So I was just
Mm,
waiting for the random people to come across it. And the first thing someone said was, thank you. This is amazing. So like we tell ourselves
love
a
that.
story that like, oh my God, what if people don't like it? What if they say anything? And so that's it. But I do for the big things that scare me in my business, I do like there to
Yeah.
be some skin in the game so that I can't talk myself out of it or procrastinate or tell myself I should do
Mhm,
it later or whatever it is. So I'm excited for
mhm.
your I can't wait to listen to it.
Well, thank
This is
you.
so exciting. Okay, so obviously your next thing you're being until you see as a podcast host. Is there anything else that you are working on as far as being it till you see it? Yeah, tell me more.
Okay, so with Digital Brand Kit, we are wanting to change the game when it comes to branding. Really, we are innovating in so many ways. And one of the platforms and one of the messages that we want to put out there is that branding can actually help you with your confidence, right? It can
Mm,
help you. We're all about helping you grow your business from the outside in, which is
mm,
counterintuitive because I've been talking to you about growing your business from the inside out and like you have to embody the person you want to be, etc. Yes. But also when it comes to branding, there's a way for you to use branding to show up as the next version of yourself, or as I like to say, brand your higher self, right?
mm,
And we've seen this with our clients. We've seen it with me and my brand and my business. And when you brand yourself as the business that you want to build, as that 7-figure business, 6-figure business, whatever it is, and you show up with that big brand energy, you then kind of your confidence catches up to that, right?
You need some BBE. That's what you need, guys.
That's right. Your confidence kind of just catches up to that because there's something to be said about how people see you,
Mhm,
the looks that you get, right? The how you are received and perceived, and how you are going to feel and act, right?
mhm.
And if you walk into a room and you have a room full of people who are, they know you, they like you, they want to hear from you, they're eager to learn from you, you're going to come into it with a completely different sense of confidence than if you walk into a room where nobody knows who you are or they don't like you simply.
Yeah.
And so branding is really how you're able to create that perception create that perception of who you want to be to these people before they even meet you, and make them want to work with you, make them want to
Mm.
meet you and learn from you and create like that attractive energy,
Yeah.
right?
I think you got to coin BBE, babe. Big brand energy. I love it. I love it.
I will.
I completely, it's so true. It's kind of like, it's an and, right? It's like, you got to work on yourself for your business to grow, but also you might need to put out into the world what you expect your business to be so that you can kind
Yeah,
of close the gap. And that's a be it till you see it. Like, this is the thing I want. I'm gonna put that out there and I'm going to get myself developed up to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what I want to say about that too is we maybe 7, 8 years ago, we lived in a world in the online business world where people could afford to just show up and take a lot of massive action and put themselves out there, put their content out there in a very messy, unprofessional, I just slapped this together last night way, right? But because they were teaching good stuff and there wasn't a lot of people teaching this stuff, they would get attention. They
Yeah.
would get business. There's so many people in the online business world now, and there's a lot of charlatans, and there's a lot of people who don't know what they're talking about. And so if you are somebody who actually knows what you're talking about, you owe it to yourself to brand yourself as the expert that you are, so that you don't get mistaken for one of those charlatans who are out there
Mm-hmm.
teaching stuff that they don't know,
Mm-hmm.
just because maybe they have better branding than you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you owe it to the people you're here to help. To,
that, oh,
like,
most importantly,
not to put pressure on my perfectionist overachievers listening. I see
yeah.
you, but like Daniel Pink said it in an interview I listened to him years ago, and I have never forgotten it. He said,
Love him.
if what you do takes pain away from someone, solves a
Mhm.
problem that they have, you have a moral obligation to make sure it
Yeah.
gets to them. You have a
Oh,
moral
I love
obligation to
her.
sell it to them. It's actually really freaking selfish of you to keep it to
Yes,
yourself.
1000%. Oh my God. I'm so glad you shared that, because I wrote a blog post about this a few weeks ago about how I overcame my fear of selling.
Hmm.
And it was that exact mindset shift. And it was somebody who told me, like, Nadine, just get over yourself already. This is not about you. This is about all the people that you can help. And the longer you stay in this fear of showing up, and you're not putting yourself out there, you're not putting your products out there, you are depriving all these people from the solutions that you could share with them that could change their businesses. So what are you doing? Get over yourself. And I was like, damn, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
mindset shift right there.
Yeah. It really is. Okay. We're going to take a brief break. Find out how people can find you, follow you, work with you. All right, Nadine, if somebody is obsessed and ready to like step into their big brand energy, they want you to help them, because my goodness, branding ourselves is not easy and you've already figured it out. So where can people find you, follow you, work with you?
Well, if you're interested in learning more, I'd love to see you over at our Instagram at Digital Brand Kit, or my personal Instagram, which is at Nadine.Hanafi, Hanafi. And if you want to check out our full stack branding system, that's digitalbrandkit.com.
Awesome. You guys will have all the links in the notes below. So it's super easy for you to find everything. And I'm so excited because one of the things we've been able to share with our agency members is your amazing kit. And you guys, I normally don't say this, but I'm going to. We have spent a lot of money as a company on branding and then rebranding things.
Yeah.
And what your company has done is figured out a way to make it easy for people to step into that without it being like $10,000.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
and you do things like, I mean, just amazing how you figure things out. So I just really, really love the work that you put out there. It's very unique.
Thank you.
Okay. Be it action items, bold, executable, intrinsic, targeted steps people can take to be it till they see it, being that big brand energy. What do you got for us?
Yeah. So my first piece of advice, if you want to brand your higher self, is book a photo shoot. So we have beautiful templates. We have beautiful branding templates, yes, but our beautiful branding templates are not going to look nice if you put your old crappy photos in them, right? You're going to need some really nice high-end brand photography. And brand photography isn't regular photography. It isn't going to a studio and doing 3 poses and getting these professional headshots that look like passport photos, right? It's actual branding photos where it's like you in your natural environment working, assuming your natural environment is a Airbnb you rented for the weekend that's super stylish and doesn't look
Yeah.
anything like your house, but that's okay, right? But anyways, creating this library of brand images that are showcasing you in action, working with people, working with your clients, doing work on your laptop, on a whiteboard, whatever it is how you're going to allow people to or create an immersive brand experience. So, you're going to have your branding, you're going to have your beautiful colors and fonts, but when you infuse this beautiful brand photography into it, then it comes to life, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I can't stress enough how important it is to book a professional brand photo shoot and actually do it properly. So you need to get at least 50 solid shots, not 3, because you need variety, right?
Yeah.
So variety is super important. But that's one of the biggest things that you can do that is going to help you create that big brand energy very quickly.
I couldn't agree more. I think like our business changed and I also was able to step into that version of myself when I actually worked with Monica, Linda of Girl
Yeah,
Squad. You guys know her, but we didn't
awesome.
use my space. I used her beautiful space. And I was like, oh my
Yep.
God, we're probably going to think this is my living room. No one
Yeah,
cared. No one's like, that's not your living room. Like, no, I didn't even have a living room, guys. At the time, we didn't have a living room. Like people now, all of the stuff we use is my space, but like it really does make a big difference. And you do want those photos to be the thing that you're wishing you're showing up as and that you
that's
would be
right.
showing up as someday because you'll actually share them. You'll actually
Yeah.
use them. Your
Yeah.
website will be the thing that you're excited to share and send people to. Like if you're embarrassed of the photos, you won't use
Yeah.
them.
And you know what? Let me share something with you,
Yeah.
Lesley, that I did not share with you when we first talked because I didn't realize it until after we talked.
Tell me.
Was that Monica, before I worked with her, she shared with me some portfolio images. And one of the images that she shared with me were your photos. And I remember your photos were fabulous.
Thank
And I remember seeing your photos. And I think I asked her even, I said, is she a model? Because your photos were just so good. You're so poised and they're so fun and original. And I just remember because that was before I worked with her, I was like, oh, I can't wait to have like nice professional images like this too. And that stayed with me. Like you looked amazing and you
Mm.
gave off that big brand energy big time in your photos.
Yeah. And thank you. And also
You're
like
welcome.
here's a little tip, guys. Laugh out loud. Actually like make yourself laugh. It
Yes.
it makes the smile have energy to it versus like right if
Oh,
you
it's so true.
like there's a whole different energy that comes out of it. And so that is my big tip on a fun photo, like a fun,
Yeah.
energetic photo is like laugh out loud.
Authentic.
Yes. And
Yeah.
also like to go back, Monica is a branding photographer. I want to highlight you said that a branding photographer is very different than
Yeah.
your family photo shoot.
That's right.
Than
That's
like,
right.
because they do get, but nowadays, you guys, there are these crazy places where people have staged photo rooms.
Yeah.
Like here in Vegas, I used one the other day just to get 5 pictures for our flashcard deck redone. And I walked in, there was like a floral wall. There was a little room that looked like an office. Like it was $100 an hour. And you had like 8 different stages that were already set up. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I can be in a phone
Amazing.
booth right now.
That's right. That's right. No, it's super important. And I can't stress that enough because I'm explaining this to people all the time. Look, what is the difference between brand photography and regular photography? You want brand photography and you want to see what that looks like. We have a blog post at digitalbrandkit.com, which is about how to plan your photo shoot. This is
Mm.
actually our most opened email and newsletter that we sent, how to plan your photo shoot like a pro. And in it, we have these examples of how to organize your shot lists, which is a very, very handy tool that most photographers will do for you, but not all of them do. So it's good if you can be proactive and create your own shot list. So go find that blog post on our website to learn more about how to plan your
Oh my
shot
God.
list.
Yes. And if you'll send me that link, we'll also put it in the show notes
Yeah,
because that is an essential thing. I can get way more photos than what they said was in the contract because I'm organized.
that's right. That's exactly what I did. I basically 10x how many photos I was able to get out of my last photo shoot because I was so organized and my photographer loved me. She's like, I'm literally just checking boxes. I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what I want you to do. We could go on and on for hours. You were so amazing. I'm so grateful for you. And I'm grateful that we got to meet. And thank you for sharing so generously your stories about your life and growing your business and what branding is. You guys, how are you going to use these tips in your life? Let Nadine know, let the Be It Pod know, share this with a friend who's struggling with their business and just kind of like trying to figure things out. This might be the thing they need to get out of their own way and maybe show up with that big brand energy. All right, loves, until next time, be it till you see it. That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Beit Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network. If you want to leave us a message or a question that we might read on another episode, you can text us at +1 310 905 5534 or send a DM on Instagram at beitpod.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
It is transcribed, produced, and edited by the epic team at Diseño.co.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all of our content to our website. And finally, to Meredith Root for keeping us all on point and on time.